Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 256. This is being recorded on Wednesday, May 30th. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hey everybody, what's up?
Jascha Wilson.
Hey everyone.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hi everybody.
What's up guys? It's been, 2 or 3 days? Hasn't been long.
Yeah,
I wasn't
long
here on
2 or 3
Sunday.
days.
No, Jascha, you were not here.
Sunday.
I was gonna say I feel like I've
I
been
was
talking.
not.
Yeah.
I was in deep recovery mode, guys. So you'll have to forgive me. I apologize for that. Deep recovery mode.
Deep recovery mode because you saw like a movie that just blew your mind, or?
No, not exactly that. I was at a bachelor party on Saturday, and while it wasn't crazy, it did involve quite a bit of heavy drinking, and in which case I needed to recover from.
Dim bachelor parties.
Well, your Dragon Con prep is going well. We hope to see you in Atlanta.
Oh, I was gonna say if there's a weekend that my liver starts to cry tears. It's Dragon
Is it that crazy out there for you guys? When you get,
I mean,
you get rolled?
We only stock up on like $200 of liquor before we go, but yeah, it's fine.
Whoa. That sounds like something I really should be a part of.
You really should. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
Should.
Sounds like really definitely something I need to be a part of.
It's cool. It's cool. Anywho,
So you couldn't join us on Sunday. We talked about Solo. Have you seen the movie yet?
I have. I saw it on Monday. And part of my post recovery from the bachelor party, I had time to go and see it on Monday.
All right. I'm curious. Without spoilers, what'd you think?
You know what? I enjoyed it as a standalone movie, and I really couldn't wait to talk to you guys about it because I wanted to hear. I had definitely had some questions, basically timeline questions, that didn't really sit well with me towards the end of the movie.
Remember, no spoilers.
we'll have to talk about that later.
I'm not getting into spoilers. I thought, I mean, hands down, I haven't got a chance to listen to the show, a full confession. And David, you know this. But I'm sure everybody was in agreement that Donald Glover just slayed the role of Lando Calrissian. Like, he came on, and I just fully believed that he was a young Billy D. Williams. Like, he had the mannerisms, the swag, the confidence, the comedy, like all of it just down to a T, and I thought it was fantastic. Alden did a really good job as Solo. It was a fun movie. I loved a little bit of what we got when it came to Chewie. It kind of I kind of got what I thought we were going to get, which was, we got to see him kind of in action as a badass and being the muscle, if you would. And I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it for it was as a standalone movie. But that being said, without getting into spoilers, it felt like a desperate cry to attach itself to the Star Wars franchise, and it didn't really work. And not in my opinion.
I could see that. I can see that argument.
All right.
But aside from that, like on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a solid, I felt like it was a solid 7 for me. Like,
That's pretty good.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I love, I love the idea of Han Solo and Chewbacca kind of getting in there. And I picked up on some cues here and there when they were talking about him, or some little Easter eggs and whatnot. And I'm sure you guys did as well. But aside from that, it was I just really looked at it as like a fun movie. Like, this is cool. Like, it is what it is. I enjoyed watching the Millennium Falcon fly on screen and see it kind of transform into the Falcon that I know and love today. And I mean, it was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it.
So it sounds like Bobby and I liked it the most, then Jascha, and then David. And I'm saying that, not that David didn't dislike it. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's the rankings. But so David asked us a question on the show.
Oh, you're gonna ask them the question?
Oh yeah, if you threw us on the spot, I'm throwing his ass on the spot. Duh.
Please go ahead.
So Jascha, can you rank your Star Wars movies in order of your favorite to least? We did it, dude.
Yeah, we didn't prep for it. We just did this
sake.
off the top of our heads.
We did off the top of our heads. Listen, so I'll give you the heads up. So Bobby had it at 5, right? And you and I had it at our 6th. I'm trying to remember. Bobby had it pretty high. I think he had it just slightly higher than we did, though.
Yeah, I think.
Are we ranking this with all the new ones too?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it'd be 10 movies. 10,
Yeah, so
10
including-
live
Oh my
action
God.
Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Including Rogue
Okay.
One, including Last Jedi, including Force Awakens, including the prequels. I mean, all the films. All of the films.
Okay.
And I don't know about you. Since I was doing it off the top of my head, I found it easier to start at number 1.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was gonna do. Like I was gonna start at number 1 because I just don't. I mean, I don't have them written down in front of me, so I'm definitely going off of memory right now.
Oh no, none of us did, Jascha. This is what's the fun of being put on the spot is. This is how much fun it is.
Okay, cool.
We all did this. It's your turn. Everybody gets to suffer.
I will be far pressed. Hello?
You'll be what? Go ahead.
I will be far pressed if anybody this is too different. As far as number 1 goes, I'm going to go with our 1977 classic, A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's probably one of my favorites. That was on the other day when I was getting some suits fitted for a wedding, and I found myself just as drawn and really enjoying the movie while we were sitting there getting measured out. And I was just like, man, this movie is just a classic. This is so much fun. Now, maybe it's because I fell in love with it when I was a kid, and I hold that nostalgia to this day. I remember watching it when I was a little kid. I remember seeing Darth Vader for the first time. I remember, watching the lightsaber fight. So maybe that's why I hold that as my number 1. I'm going to go with that as my number 1. As far as number 2 goes, I think I'm going to go with the Return of the Jedi, probably my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then my number 3 would probably be Empire Strikes Back. Now I put them reversed because I love the fight scenes and all the different worlds that it felt like that Return of the Jedi really encapsulated and really kind of explored. Plus, the last fight scene with Vader and Luke just really kind of got to me, and it to this day I think is one of the most iconic fight scenes in movie film history when it comes to rivals, but at the same time not rivals, that type of situation. And then Vader flipping, that was just fantastic. So, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Then I think we're gonna go probably. What's that?
Nothing. Continue.
Okay. Then I think I'm going to go with Rogue One at number 4. Simply because it really didn't have much to do with the story of the Rogue One, the group. I fell in love with the scene where Vader just tears apart the Rebel Alliance. Like, he tore through them like a bat out of hell. And that's exactly what I was hoping to see. And the way that it kind of wrapped up in that movie, to me, it was just fantastic. So definitely probably going to put Rogue One right there. Number 5. Kind of be silly. Like, I'm going to probably go Revenge of the Sith. Wait, let me think about that. Number 5. What am I forgetting? Like, I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Well, so you've got the 3 prequels left. You've got the 2 new films left, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and you have Solo left.
Okay, so I'm gonna go actually with probably Revenge of the Sith then as number 5. Not necessarily because of the story and the acting, but I liked the fights. I really enjoyed the fight scenes because I felt like that was really.
I get that. I get that completely.
The fight scenes with Anakin and Obi-Wan, just them going back and forth, and then the Sith Lord being outed and Yoda really going after it. I think that's going to be my number 5. I'll probably put. I think I'm going to put. What was the one with all the cast coming back again?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. I'm going to put that at number
5.
I think at number 6.
6.
No, I'm going to put that at number 6 because I already did number 5.
Right.
I'm going to put that at number 6. And that's just strictly a nostalgia throwback there because I think it was cool to see Harrison Ford as Han Solo again and all these actors kind of come in and reintroduce us to the world. Well, it maybe wasn't necessarily the best story in the whole wide world. There was something about it that I just found kind of special, and I really kind of enjoyed seeing those characters again and people come into that. I'll put Solo right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see. Then I think I'll put, what do I have left?
You got Last Jedi left, and then Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put Attack of the Clones there because seeing all the Jedi go after it was a lot of fun for me because it's just, I really enjoyed seeing the fact that, we have all these Jedi and this is something that we'd never seen before, and seeing them fight together.
Like the fight scene in the pit.
Yeah, that's really what it did for me.
No, I like that one. I like that scene a lot.
Then we'll definitely put probably not the Force Awakens, but
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace after that. Yeah.
You disliked Force Awakens that much? I did not realize this.
But
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna do Phantom Menace, and then I think the Force Awakens. After really thinking about it and kind of glimpsing at the movie in a whole when it came to Force Awakens, I realized that it really didn't do much.
You know about Last Jedi? Because Last Jedi is the one you got left.
Yeah. The Last Jedi, yeah. Sorry, The Last Jedi. Put that last probably. Just it didn't really do much, and it wasn't necessarily the greatest story. It just didn't really. I mean, it carried and moved the story in a direction, but it's at the same time, I'm not really sure what direction that's going. And maybe that's kind of fun, but
right.
I just feel like we kind of missed a little bit. And it's to me, that really didn't hold enough fight scenes or really cool moments to carry the movie. Like Attack of the Clones did. In my opinion, that was full of really some really cool fight scenes, but this one it necessarily wasn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
damn, Jascha slays the Last Jedi to dead last.
I think it's interesting that we all put Solo and Rogue One kind of in the middle overall.
Yeah.
Because even Bobby kind of had his. You had yours at what, 6 or 7?
It was 5.
He had Solo at 5.
Yeah, he had Solo at 5.
I don't remember where
probably
had Rogue One. But...
I forgot where you said Rogue One was, but I remember it was kind of in the middle too.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, I enjoyed it as a standalone movie. If we talk spoilers, we'll get into it. Like I said, I have questions for, I guess you could say, my friends who I consider experts on the matter, especially you, David, when it comes to Star Wars timelines. I have questions about it. I saw it and it felt like it was really reaching to try and make this Star Wars connection, and it just didn't feel like it fit.
Well,
it just didn't.
You and Bobby are gonna have to have a serious phone conversation later, I think, because he has got this down. I mean, he can explain the whole sitch to you.
Okay, I'm open to it. I've never not been open to. Being corrected on when it comes to my geekdom or especially
I knew nothing. I knew nothing, and they educated me in our spoiler section. So yeah, no, I was like, oh, okay, how about that? You learn something new every day. All right then. Bobby's very knowledgeable on this topic. Anyhow, well, cool.
I know a little. I wouldn't say I'm super knowledgeable because there's some stuff I missed, and had to get filled in on. But I get the overall picture, though.
Yeah. Well, cool. It sounds like you had a good time with it, at least, Jascha. Overall, it was a good time.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I definitely did have a good time with it. Like, it was a fun movie. It was what it was, and I definitely appreciated what it was and what they were trying to do. And, it'll be interesting to see what else they do. I don't necessarily think we need some of these other movies that they're talking about. Like, I don't necessarily think we need a Boba Fett movie. Like, we have nothing to. I guess we have a lot to learn about this guy, but at the same time, it's like part of the mysticism to me. Yeah. Do we need it? No, we really don't. Like, I think we talked about this before, Michelle, where it's just like, I'd be a little bit more interested to kind of see how Leia came in to be this powerhouse of a person in the world, and like this, basically general or soldier, running around, and she's supposed to be that would be kind of interesting.
Ever since the idea was thrown out there, I can't not see Millie Bobby Brown as young Princess Leia now. Every time I think about young Princess Leia, I just picture her now in my head.
Yeah, no, I've seen the pictures that kind of like show her next to young Leia, and
yeah, her in the buns. Yeah.
I really think that's what they're going to do with all these movies. They're going to have these films, and then they're going to have these desperate throw-ins to try and connect them to the world that we're familiar with, so that we're like, oh, okay, oh, so cool, oh, that geek out moment.
Right.
Necessarily, sometimes it just doesn't feel like it works. It may work for some of the other, the average fan, but when I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't faze me at all. Like, I'm not even, that doesn't seem right. Right. When you really think about it. So, but that's just me.
Well, it's been a week and a half, and we haven't talked about Deadpool 2 at all.
It's just crazy. Crazy.
We talked about it the last show. Like, my schedule, I was out of town. We couldn't record a show that weekend. And then Solo happened, and I was like, well, we got to jump on Solo and make that happen. But yeah, we haven't talked about Deadpool 2. I haven't really. Some of us have talked a little bit about it off the air. There's no way we were going to wait a week and a half to.
I think we've all given our quick opinions to each other about it. Quick, like overall, like, where are we laying? But I gotta say, I'm curious as to get some more in-depth opinions on things from the peeps. Your peeps.
You are, Michelle? You're that's something you're interested in?
I am. I'm totally interested in that.
Okay, so what do you think of Deadpool 2?
He's just throwing me in there.
Yep.
Well, you said you were interested.
Yeah.
I am. Okay, so I guess I will kick it off then. So I'll just jump off the boat here and say automatically, like, my overall, like, top of the line thought is I enjoyed it. It was an entertaining film, but the first one was better, and I feel like a lot of the jokes were trying too hard. Yeah, there I am. There it is.
That's your review?
That's the best way to sum it up. Like, it was entertaining. I feel like the opening fight sequence where he's going around the world was kind of cool, but it also was kind of like, oh, I'm a little let down by this opening sequence. Like, even before we started recording the show, we threw the first one on in the background, just kind of get us in the mood. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, God damn, it's such a good opening to a film. This whole, like, first 20 minutes, solid, and I just feel like the first 20 minutes of Deadpool 2 was kind of like, it's okay, it's fine, it's nothing to write home about. Like, and I didn't want a carbon copy of the first opening sequence. Like, that's not what I'm asking for. I just kind of am like, well, I don't know. But look at the two, like, meh. And I feel like that's kind of what it was through the whole film. I don't know, like, it gets to a point, like, I had a hard time believing, I'll say the big bad was who the big bad really was. Like, I was just like, really? You went to that? Like, really? It was hard to buy into for me personally. But, I don't know, like, there's things that I like, there's things that worked for me and things that didn't work for me. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the jokes felt very forced on us. Like, it was just constant setup and or repetition. And then there were things that was like basically just a newer spin on something that happened in the first film. And I was like, we've done this. Do we have to repeat this in a different way? I don't know. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely stuff that worked for me.
Sense.
Like, as silly as it is, like, and I didn't think it was gonna, like, there was a joke that, you know, and I'm gonna say this joke, and it was it shouldn't be funny, but god damn it, I thought it was funny. And it was the X-Force member, the Invisible Man guy, jumping out of the plane.
Oh.
That was freaking hilarious to me. And I don't know why. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing at this as hard, and I think this is freaking so funny.
Right.
It's a parachute hanging out in space. Like, I don't know why I thought that was just as funny as it was. Unless I'm giggling now thinking about it. It's not that funny, and I think it's hilarious. I don't know. Yeah, there's stuff that worked. I will say, like, Josh Brolin as Cable, it totally worked for me. I think the thing that really made me depressed, though, honest to God, I'm watching Josh Brolin on film, and I'm watching him walk around with Ryan Reynolds and the girl who plays Domino, Zazie Beetz. I think that's how I say her name. Like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, I know Josh Brolin got so ridiculously beefed up for this film, and it is just not coming across like he got that fucking beefed up. Like, I've seen the man's Instagram. I know how huge he got. That dude was a beast. He was full beast mode. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, did something happen? Did they CGI him smaller? What the hell? Like, the dude had muscles. And I'm not saying he didn't as Cable, but I was like, something seems off. Anywho, but I thought his performance as Cable was really good. I think the other standout was, I think it's Zazie Beetz.
Oh, it was Zazie
Beetz, who played Domino.
I don't know.
I like her a ton. And I love the character of Domino as a whole. But she just, I don't know, she was just so chill and so, like, happy to be alive. Like, she did it really well. Like, she captivated, like, Domino. Like, her attitude towards the world, like, everything's okay, it's all gonna work out. Like, I don't know how it's gonna get fucked up, but it'll work out. And that's just how she was. And I was like, yeah, she's got this. Like, it came through really well, I think. But yeah, I don't know, I think overall I was just kind of like, oh, it was okay. But I'm saying that, and I loved the first movie. Like, I thought the first movie was great, but yeah, there was just stuff that didn't work for me. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
I'm with you.
I was underwhelmed. I'll put it that way. I was underwhelmed with the film.
I don't know. I felt
not
like
overall disappointed, but underwhelmed.
I felt like going into it, it seemed like, because I remember, Bobby, you asked me off the air at one point, like, are you getting worried about Deadpool 2? Like, it's not going to be very good. And I was like, I don't know. I have a feeling it could be good. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the critical response that we were hearing before it actually
Quite
dropped
positive.
to all audiences was pretty positive.
Very positive, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Very positive.
And then I kept hearing this really piqued my curiosity. And again, I'm not going to talk about spoilers yet, but I kept hearing that the after credit scene or mid credit scene was the best one ever, like in a comic book movie.
Yeah,
period.
and I feel like they.
Feel like they what?
No, I feel like they oversold that.
Oh,
hard.
Well, we'll get to that later, but yeah, I mean, then I was really like, okay, man, this is gonna be awesome. And then I saw it, and I mean, I guess I'm kind of where you are, Michelle. Like, I thought it was fine. I'm gonna sound like my Solo review, honestly. I thought it was fine.
It's okay.
It was okay.
It's all right. It's a good background movie.
I mean, yeah, I think overall I just didn't find it as funny as the first Deadpool film. And for me, it seems like that's really where Deadpool shines, is the humor. Yeah, the action's good, but it's not really about the action with Deadpool, I don't feel like. And for me, the first movie was funny. I really enjoyed the first movie. I've actually been really kind of confused by the amount of critics I've come across recently that didn't like the first Deadpool, but really like this movie. And I'm like, I don't...
Yeah, there was somebody on Slash Film that was like... Was it Slash Film?
I mean, I don't know, to each his own, but yeah, I've just been seeing that a lot, and I don't know, it confuses me, and I just find that movie funnier than Deadpool 2 did. I don't know, there's a lot more characters in this film, which you expect and is going to happen, but I think in the end, even though I do like a couple of the additions, I'm with you. I really like Domino. Domino's great. For me, Cable's fine. I don't know. Like, I'm not even all that like in love with Cable as a character. I think he's fine, but there's a lot of other characters that come and go throughout the movie, all I'll say. And to me, I still found myself wanting more of a Deadpool movie. And this is definitely turning into more of an X-Force movie.
X-Force.
And I don't know, like, I think I just kind of missed just focusing more on Deadpool only. But
I get that.
yeah, overall, I walked out disappointed. It's not a bad movie, I don't think. I just thought the first movie was better. It's kind of where I am.
Oh, I meant to point out, I love Yukio.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Yukio.
Hi, Yukio. Bye, Yukio.
Hi, Deadpool. Hi, Yukio.
Bye, Yukio.
That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny when
I'm
they
not gonna
added
lie,
that little tidbit.
I was down with Yukio. I was down with it.
See, it was just like this basically walking, talking anime. Like, it was great. Like, it was just, she was just popping in. Hi, Deadpool. Hi, Yu-Gi-Oh. That's all she said. And that's all I could think of when she was talking. It was like, she's like a walking, talking anime. This is fantastic.
But she turned into quite the little badass when it came down to, I need to kick some ass. I was like, wow. Go, girl.
100%.
Yeah, so she basically was a walking, talking anime. You wouldn't think she would get to be that violent, and then she comes out and you're like, oh wow, she's quite powerful. Okay.
So that's my thoughts. Who's next?
Well,
Go ahead, Bobby.
I think we must be on the same page with this one, because I obviously had high expectations going into it based on the first one. And overall, I just felt disappointed after coming out of the theater with this one, just because a lot of the same way Deadpool is to characters in the comics, I think is the same way he is possibly to movie-going audiences, or at least myself in particular, is that sometimes a little Deadpool goes a long way. And if he's firing on all cylinders, it will leave you wanting more. Whereas that's where I thought the first movie was for me. And sometimes when it's sort of hit and miss, then it's kind of like it makes it feel like it's a little too much. And I think that's what this one felt like for me with Deadpool 2. It was where the jokes, I think, that were more, I guess, necessarily not necessarily clever jokes. They were just the jokes that were surface level funny. Those can be hit or miss, and so that didn't really do it for me a lot of times. But then there's some of the situational comedy that Deadpool will refer to, or that involves the character, that I find funny, where there's maybe a cameo from other characters or something else that's going on that I find like, oh, that's pretty cool the way they did that. And that didn't happen enough for me in this movie, and it was more of the other kind where it was just sort of the joke, and then either it's a funny joke to you or it's not. And so if you get enough of those that land on the side of misses, it just feels off. But as far as the other aspects of it, I think Ryan Reynolds still kills it as Deadpool the character. He just really embodies that character and does such a great job there. And some of the additions of the cast, like Zazie Beetz as Domino, is great, and showing her powers was really cool to see, especially from seeing her in the comic books. And Cable, I thought Josh Brolin was great as Cable, but they don't get enough into his story to really warrant him as being what I love from that character in the comics. You just kind of see him kind of doing his his impression of Terminator in a sense, really. And so it's very surface level, the amount of work that he had to do in that role. He didn't display some of his characteristic powers in the same way that you see in the comics. So there's some work to be done there with Cable. I think that if they do an X-Force movie, they can expand upon his character and give him more to do there. But just with sticking with the whole aspect of Deadpool, I think that there was, like Michelle said, a lot of callbacks to the first movie, and just kind of taking that same formula and twisting it a little bit. That, yeah, you do it once or twice, it can be good, but then if you do it too many times, it becomes like, well, I don't want to see a rinse and repeat of Deadpool 1. I want to see something different. And so it became like the lack of budget on the first movie, I think, caused them to be more creative in a way than this one did, because a lot of the action to me felt it's not generic, but it didn't stand out to me. If you asked me to recall what my favorite action sequence or scene was in Deadpool 2, I'd be hard pressed to really give you one, just because it wasn't like within the same level of context the first movie was. So it was all done well. It just wasn't anything that stood out and felt unique and done in a different way, and in the same way the first one was. So I just, as you guys have all kind of said so far, at least Michelle and David, that it was fine, but it just didn't do it for me in the same way that the first one did. And that by no means means that I don't think it's worth seeing or checking out, because everyone's gonna respond to it in a possibly different way depending on how the comedy of it hits you. You might be like the majority of people out there that are really in love with it and falling over themselves and anxious to see it a second and third time. But I felt like I got enough out of it seeing it the first time that if I catched it a second time, it would probably be like because it's on TV or something, because I don't feel the drive necessarily to go see it again and feel like I missed something that everyone else is a part of. Because I think in this case, it was just a matter of the humor not hitting me quite the way I wanted it to. And there's nothing you can really do about that. It's not like seeing it multiple times will really, I don't know, help that situation, at least not for me.
All right, Jascha, I'm curious.
Yeah. No, I mean, Bobby summed up really, what I wanted to say basically as well. We actually bumped into each other last week and got a chance to briefly talk about Deadpool, and I shared with him my thoughts on it, and we're pretty much in sync on this one. Like the first movie, I think what was just, it was so special and we had no idea what to really expect. So when we got it, we were just blown away. And I think Bobby hit the nail on the head. The fact that there was no real budget for special effects definitely increased the need for, originality and quips and humor and, make it what it was. Now that we had that budget, and Fox, I'm sure, was just like, give them whatever they want, the bigger the better type of situation. But that definitely showed when it came to like some of the callbacks and throwbacks to some of the jokes that they had for the first one. And they were fine. I mean, there was a few that were just kind of new and it was kind of, funny, and that they had some moments. But I look at the first movie, that was one of my top favorites, if not like the favorite of that year. Like I remember when we did our top 10, and that was definitely up there. I still laugh at that movie. But this one, I don't think that I'm going to go back and watch this one and really laugh as hard as I did the first time. Now, some of the things that they did in this one, I thought they were great. I thought they were, really nice. I did think there were some parts where the jokes just seemed to go on and on and on, and it was like, this is a 30-second joke when it really could have stopped at it's 15 to 20 seconds, and it would have been just fine, or maybe even 10. I think that Zazie Beetz did a fantastic job as Domino. She was really great. She was a lot of fun to watch. I thought Josh Brolin did a really good job as Cable. But I think Bobby's right in that sense that, we didn't really get a chance to really explore this character or learn or see what he can really do. I mean, he can fight. That much is clear, but I'm sure he has other abilities and other talents that we can definitely explore when it comes to him as a whole. And that might be kind of fun to really dive into if they do an X-Force movie. And I think the fact is like that we really, like I said, it was like we had no idea what to expect with the first movie, and they just nailed it so spot on. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds still kills it as Deadpool. Like, that's his character. Like, I can't even envision or think of anybody else out there that would be able to do that character like him. Like, it's really him. Like, it's hilarious. Like, I mean, I still think he does a really good job with it. It's just, I look at the first one as like a 9 or a 10 when it comes to my enjoyment on a film scale, and this one was probably like a 7 or an 8 for me, like maybe even a 6. Like, it was down there where it's like, yeah, I liked it and I'd watch it again. Did it miss some stuff? Yeah, absolutely. I do think that it missed some stuff. But, if you saw the first one, you should see the second one because it is enjoyable. So you'll like it, but you won't love it.
We're all pretty much on the same page.
I'd say, yeah, we sound like we pretty much all feel the same way. But
like none of us hate it or anything.
No.
Like, I think all of us just kind of like, it's fun for what it is. And Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, and that's always entertaining.
Right.
It's cool, but no, it's
just not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. Anybody want to talk about spoilers? Anything? Anybody itching to?
I mean, I'll jump
throw this out
into a
there.
little thing.
Sorry, Bobby. Bobby, what were you saying?
No, go ahead, Jascha. He sounds like he has something really good.
No, Bobby, I mentioned this to you when we ran into each other, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm just going to be the first one. I loved the addition of having Juggernaut in there. I really wish that I didn't get that spoiled for me before I saw the movie. I was just scanning through news, and you know how you just like try not to see something and then somebody just puts it in a fucking article, and you see it in an article, and I was just like, the addition of Juggernaut, and I was just like, wait, what? And like, I was like, oh, you got to be shitting me. I was so pissed that I really saw it, because after I saw that, I just kept looking and waiting to see when they were going to introduce him. And then when they did introduce him and he was in the prison, I was just like, this is so great. Like, but at the same time, I really wish I didn't know who was coming, because they had his look and I feel like his mannerisms really down. I thought they did a fantastic job with Juggernaut. But with that being said, the whole joke where he sticks the cable in his ass was completely unnecessary, and I felt it to be just a little bit dumb. Like, I thought that really...
Yeah, I agree.
That was one joke that I didn't... Yeah, that was one joke that I just did not need to have in the movie. Like, I thought it was just... It was so extra that it's like, this isn't necessary. It's so extra. And it's just like, I mean, that's the only way that I can describe it. I just was not impressed with that choice for that joke.
Yeah, it was definitely cool seeing Juggernaut and just having him be very much accurate to the way he looks in the comics, and even just seeing him in Colossus fighting, getting that classic X-Men matchup is just perfect. And being able to hear later on, I didn't know it at the time, but hearing that Ryan Reynolds did the voice of Juggernaut just was like, man, that's perfect, because I didn't hear any Ryan Reynolds in that voice, but it definitely felt like Juggernaut. And just seeing also my cameo that I really enjoyed was when they did a callback, and it was to the first Deadpool movie, when he mentions how there's only 2 X-Men in the X-Mansion, and it's like because they didn't have a budget to the other ones, and then you see him come back to the mansion, and it looks like it's just the few that are there, like Colossus and Negasonic, and then you see Beast in the like foyer or something, and he closes the door because Deadpool can't see them, and it's like they are not just they're there. They just don't want to have to deal with Deadpool. And I thought that was very very clever, and very funny at the same time.
Yeah, that was really well done. Yeah, I'll agree with that too. And it looked like they actually had the actors do it too, so that was even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that went down is they had used footage from when they were shooting Dark Phoenix that hasn't come out yet, and they green screened that and put that in to the scene with Deadpool. So it was not like that they were actually there on set with him, but they did film that knowing that it would be for the Deadpool movie. So I thought that was some nice synergy going on with the two. But the only thing that's all messed up about it is, and it doesn't matter because it's Fox and they don't seem to care, is that the continuity of it all is completely off.
It doesn't really make sense.
No, it makes zero sense.
It's present day Deadpool, but it's the cast of 80s version of
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all that wonky Fox, stuff going on, but it was still fun.
I mean, my takeaway was just it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, if there's a movie you kind of not make sense in, it's a Deadpool movie. It's like a lot of it doesn't not that a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's just
but that was the joke.
Yeah, it was just a funny joke, and I agree. There's no continuity to it, but it was just funny to be like, oh, they're just literally in the other room. They just want nothing to fucking do with this situation.
Yeah. And that was the joke, though. That was definitely the joke. It's just like, the fact that he's constantly asking for the other X-Men, and then the fact that they are there, like Bobby said, is just like they just don't want to deal with him. Just makes, especially when Beast shuts the door all quietly, it's just like, it's perfect. It doesn't make sense. And Deadpool constantly doesn't make sense. So that's the best part about it.
Right.
So, David, my question to you is that you seem to have some thoughts in terms of how much people were talking about how the end credits are possibly the best end credits that there have ever been in any kind of post Marvel film.
Right.
What did you think of those post credit scenes?
I mean, I think it was unfortunate that I had heard that, because then how do you not hear that and obviously go, wow, what's going to happen in this post credit scene? And of course I should have, it's a Deadpool movie. So when I heard, oh, this post credit scene is like the greatest post credit scene ever, my mind should have automatically gone to, it must just be insanely funny. Instead, of course, I start thinking, well, what do they do in this post-credit scene? Like, what does it tie into or something? Like, it's something crazy.
And that's kind of what I did.
And in the end, it's just really funny. And it is very good. Like, I liked it a lot. But, my expectations, of course, went to the stratosphere of, man, some crazy shit's going to happen in the post-credit scene. And it was really funny, but then I found myself going, oh, okay, that's what everyone was talking about. I mean, it was fine. Like, I don't know. I did find it really funny. Of course, for me, I've admitted I never saw the X-Men Origins.
X-Men Origins.
So, I mean, as soon as I saw that shot, I was like, well, I'm sure that's what this is from. I knew he was in the movie and blah, blah, blah. It made sense to me, but probably I didn't find that particular part as funny since I never saw that movie. But, the rest of it, the Green Lantern bit, and it was good. I liked it, but I can't necessarily say I think it's the greatest post-credit scene ever. But at the same time, if you're going to ask me to rank my post-credit scenes, I don't know if I could ever do that. I don't know what I think is better. I don't know. But is that a good answer? Is that what you...
Yeah, no. I agree. I like them. I didn't have any specific... I guess I wasn't thinking in terms of something that it was going to tie into where it was going to be something crazy and have that kind of a, ooh, what's next kind of feel to it. I kind of had a feeling it would be something silly and Deadpoolish, but I didn't have any inclination that it would be what it ended up being with those two post credits. And also, I guess technically the other one with him using Cable's time displacement device or whatever, and ended up saving Vanessa, and which was another thing that I actually felt that was missing from this movie was that heart and soul of their relationship, because it's sort of the impetus of what this movie becomes, and there's a whole controversy about that's been played out a little bit. I don't know if you guys were familiar with it or not, but that had been, in the media. And so I noticed that right away too, just because I'm familiar with that construct, that concept of fridging, which I don't know. Have you guys heard that term before?
I can't say I have.
I haven't.
So fridging is what happens. This is a long time ago, back when the Green Lantern character of Kyle Rayner, he was newly minted as a Green Lantern character, and he had this girlfriend in the comic books, and in the comics they basically only introduced this female character for her to be killed off. And in the comics, she was killed and stuffed in a fridge, and he found her that way. And that begins his heroic journey for him to become who he would become, like this hero. It sets him off into that path, because before he was sort of this unsure kind of guy. And the term was, I think, coined by Gail Simone, in that it's a way of giving a male character a sense of self and urgency at the expense of killing off a female character just for that sole purpose. And it's been done and used time and time again in different forms of media. And the writers said they were unfamiliar with it when they made it and didn't realize that it was a thing. And it's kind of played out in the media in the sense of that could be true, but if you're doing a superhero movie and you're doing these things that usually subvert what superhero films do, you'd think you'd have kind of at least heard of it or researched it or something. But yeah, and I felt when I saw it that that's exactly what was happening, and especially when you think about Morena Baccarin and how good she was as Vanessa and how much their relationship worked in the first movie. For them to then come in and remove her character for essentially the whole movie, it did feel like it was missing that heart that the first Deadpool had in that relationship. And so the only other character you're supposed to kind of care about in this was the kid, and I could do without that kid. I really didn't feel anything towards that kid other than I didn't like a lot of the scenes he was in. And I think Michelle and David, you've seen the kid before, right? In the Wilder People movie?
Yeah, Hunt
Yes.
for the Wilder People. Yeah.
And I like him as, I think he's a good little actor, but I'm kind of with you. Like, I just had a hard time with his character arc as a whole. Like, I just was like, I just don't think I buy this. Like, I was just like, I'm having a really hard time buying into this character arc. Like, I really was just struggling with it through most of the movie. And yeah, I feel like a lot of his lines were just fucking annoying. I was like,
Yeah,
I think they're trying.
I actually will co-sign on that too.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they're trying to make him like, kind of like weird but cute and funny, and it's not working for me. I'm like, I just have zero give a shit about this kid, unfortunately. Like, I'm like, I think they're trying to make him kind of lovable in a really weird kind of way, and I'm like, and it's just not working. Anyway,
it's almost like they're trying to have you get you to have the sense of empathy for him, and it just didn't land.
Yeah,
I just
not
really.
At all.
I started rooting for Cable. I'm like, yeah, kill the little fucker,
yeah,
man. Like,
I know.
Just move on.
I know. At some point, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with it. Just kill him.
Yeah, there was something about this, and this is the unfortunate thing of having seen it, and it's been almost 2 weeks since I've seen it, but I seem to remember something specific about that character arc and storyline that bugged me that I wanted to comment on, and now for the life of me I can't remember the specific. Maybe it's just generally kind of what you guys are saying, but I am with you. But Yeah, now that it's been a little while since I've seen it, I'm like, damn it, there was something in particular I really didn't like.
It's like they tried to make him almost like a mousy badass. It was bizarre.
I want to say it was one of those things where it was like kind of like what you're saying, Jascha, where you were like just wanting Cable to kill the little shit. Like, yeah, I think it was something along those lines. I was like, there's you to the point of destruction here that I'm like, he's not worth it.
Right.
I get that he's a kid and that sounds terrible, really but
I felt like it felt like the plot from Looper too, and I was just like, that's interesting. Like, okay, but it just felt a little repetitious. But maybe that's just every time traveling story that we've ever seen too.
Right.
Yeah. Stop whoever from becoming whoever they're going to grow up to be. Yeah.
I wanted him to. I was ready for him to die. Like, he was annoying as hell. Like.
Yeah, and I will say, again, coming as someone who's not like a big X-Men person, but like the Juggernaut addition into this movie, like it did nothing for me. Like my only experience with Juggernaut is the Juggernaut from the other films, which whatever about him too. But when I encountered him in this, I was just like, I don't know, it's because he's so big in this and he's got kind of a visual effect aspect to him.
Right.
You know, there's something about that I think kind of bugged me, and it didn't really do anything for me. I know I'm kind of changing the subject.
No. Here's what I'll say real quick with the Juggernaut. Like, from an old school X-Men comic reader, he is the most Juggernaut we've had. He's the best Juggernaut we've had for sure. Hands down, that was Juggernaut. And to see him, as you guys were saying, go up against Colossus was like, oh, this is sexy. Like, it was like rereading, I try to remember which one it was, but yeah, it was literally like reading a couple of the old X-Men's that I used to read. And I was just like, oh yeah, this feels good. There's something about this that just feels good. Like, that's the two of them head up against, like, that's just how it is. And so, like, in that aspect, awesome. As a whole though, was he really necessary? Maybe not. Like, it's cool. Like, I feel like I could have been like, I could have done without him, but it was cool he was there. But I don't really give it a huge overlying thought other than literally going, oh, wow, he's the most like the comics thus far that we've seen. And then, yeah, when Colossus shows up, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, because just the two of them going against each other. I was like, that's, it's what happens. So, yeah, otherwise, I could have done without him in the same way. But yeah. So, yeah, Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Deadpool 2. I think that's our thoughts. I think we've wrapped it up pretty well. Yeah. Like I feel like there's something else I was gonna say about it, and
nothing about Peter or anything.
No, I mean, I was kind of sad to see like the whole group kind of break up pretty quickly there. But,
I mean, they were kind of throwaway people, anywho, which is the point.
Right, but I don't know. Anyway, it was fine.
It was. I do. Yeah, I think it's clever because it was very subversive. Because going into it, you think that they're going to start seeding the team of X-Force in this movie, and yet they killed them off almost instantly. Instantly, and it also
violently,
in that sense,
so violently.
Yeah, and it also shows in that sense Domino's power of luck, because she was the only one to survive outside of Deadpool, of any of the new recruits. And so it was very clever in the way that they did that. And because there was no real sense of emotional attachment to those characters, it worked on a level of like, I thought they were going to give us this thing, but they didn't do it, and they killed them in such a spectacularly grotesque way that you can't be mad at it, really.
I actually liked the addition of Peter. I thought that was clever, and I thought that was funny. Like, it just, for whatever reason, I just thought that was funny, and I really dug his interaction with them. It just was really, that was it. Just really cool.
Yeah. It was kind of a funny thing. He just answered the ad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, it's too bad he couldn't be around longer. But then you get that if he was, it would probably be like Deadpool constantly having to protect him, and then that would be
shove
a
him out
whole
of the
thing.
way.
And
yeah.
What were you saying, Bobby?
I mean, I think they could have probably had him around a little bit more, but it's like he was just and just kind of being in the way, and maybe not necessarily Deadpool protecting him, but just kind of like running from place to place, kind of like Domino was, where she was just kind of happily or happening into like circumstances where she was okay. Yeah, but that would have been kind of fun. I don't know. I thought the character of Peter wasn't that bad.
What were you gonna say, Bobby?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think I'm probably in the minority, in the very, 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 very small minority of people that just didn't get Peter. I don't get why people are so crazy about him. It's just I don't understand it. I mean, he just didn't do anything for me. So it's very interesting seeing how people, especially before the movie came out, and they were just going kind of nutso for this character just based on the preview and seeing him jump out of the plane, and which I never saw because I didn't watch that second or whatever, that last trailer before the movie came out. So right. I never got a sense of what the character was other than it was this guy who had no powers and just shows up, and he's in the movie for such a short time that I can't quite understand why he's endured himself to so many people. It's a thing that I can't seem to get really.
I think it's just one of those things that he, from that trailer, which I also didn't see until like right before the movie. Basically, it's like the second time I saw Infinity War, that trailer played in front of it, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm watching this now. But I had also avoided it, but before I had finally seen it, he seemed like one of those characters from a trailer that just so quickly became a meme. Mm-hmm. That then I think that's where his popularity really grew.
Yeah.
And then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, I get it. Like,
I mean, as a whole, he's supposed to just be like the average guy who just gets up in the morning and goes to his 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and needs a little excitement in his life. And he saw the ad and he went in and they took it and somehow summoned up the balls to jump out of the frickin' plane.
Right.
And then instead of having like a horrifically like blood curdling girly scream on his way down, manned up and like arrowed himself down there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a badass.
He looks kind of like a badass, yeah. Right? And so then and obviously, in the mid-credit scene, he's standing there talking to Deadpool like, yeah, I'm realizing this is probably a bad idea. Like, I wanted to be here, but now that I'm in it, I'm realizing this is not smart. And he's like, yeah, it really isn't. You really just need to fucking go home. Like, thanks for showing up. It's been great. Go the fuck home. And I think that's everybody. Everybody wishes they could be a part of something really cool and awesome for just a minute of their life. And you're that dude. And you manned up and you made it out of that plane. You stuck the landing, And then it's time to go home. Shit's getting real.
Right.
It's time to go. Anyways. So, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I think it's time to wrap things up. Thanks, guys, for joining me on a weekday podcast.
Woohoo!
Finally playing to catch up a little.
Thanks for having us.
This Friday.
What's that?
Oh, I just said it's midweek. We're almost at Friday.
Yeah, almost there.
There doesn't seem to be anything super exciting this weekend, so maybe our next show we'll talk about like TV shows.
TV.
And we could talk about like the news.
We will see.
David,
I know, I'm crazy. I know. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I think we should say something because of the news and the way things are blowing up right now all around this person. How about Roseanne Barr? Come on now.
Throwing it out there at the end of the show.
That shit is just hilarious. Like, when I have to tell this story, and like everybody, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I was at work, and my buddy who sits next to me said, "Have you heard about this Roseanne nonsense?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What happened?" He's like, "Well, they canceled her show." I was like, "Why? Her show's doing great." He's like, "You didn't hear what she said?" And he tells me what she said, and I'm like, "Hey, you got to be kidding me!" And he's like, "No." I was like, "She really said that?" I was like, "She really said that?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Pretty sure the president of ABC is a black woman." And he's like, "What? Are you serious?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm about 80% sure. Give me a second and I'll let you know." And I looked it up and I was like, "Yeah, it's a black woman. Look, this is her."
Like, I could be fucking crazy.
He literally just looked at me. He was like, holy shit. And I was like, this is not going to bode well for her at all. And then, like, they just, like, everything really just started to spiral out of control. Show being canceled, more announcements of the show being canceled. Then the old sitcoms got pulled. I was like, they are taking this woman off of the map. And she has lost everybody's job, everybody's residual checks, and she is sitting there, doesn't know how to stop this thing. The internet's justice was swift, and this woman was done. I thought it was, I just was blown away. I could not believe it.
I think for me, the biggest giggle snort of the whole thing was just how she was like, oh, I'm blaming it on my sleeping pills. I'm blaming it on the Ambien I was on. And then Ambien comes back like, the side effects of Ambien are not racism. But thanks for throwing our name in the hat in that ring. But yeah, our drug does not make you racist.
They threw her so much shade and so quietly, just very subtly, just was like, yeah, that's actually not a thing, but okay.
There was this great tweet that I saw that my friend posted, and it says, in Roseanne's defense, it's hard to know the difference between racism that gets you fired versus racism that gets you elected president of the United States.
And with that,
just keeping it real, kids. Just keeping it real.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna wrap things up now. What? I got nothing. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Thanks guys for joining us.
Nothing to add, David?
No, I got nothing, man.
He's like, I'm keeping my foot out of my mouth.
Still got a slight sore throat. I'm gonna go rest my voice. Yeah, that's where I am. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. Email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those good places, YouTube. There's links to those accounts on our website. Please check us out. Please leave us a review on iTunes if you enjoyed the show. It'd help us reach more listeners. That would be great. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.